Good morning, it's Ada Sparks with a word of hope. I'm just out here pruning this tree. See, my mom is a master gardener, and she taught me that if you want a tree to grow really tall, what you have to do is you come right here on the edges and you just kind of cut off these limbs on the edges, and then that makes your tree grow really tall. But if you want your tree to grow wide, then you would go to the top and you would kind of cut your tree at the very top, and then that would make it grow wide. Whatever shape you want it to grow in, well, you just kind of prune your tree and cut off wherever you don't want there to be limbs. And when I first started doing this, I didn't know anything about it. And this tree right here, or shrub, I guess you could say, was only about this tall. I mean, it was just barely above my waist. And I would just kind of come along here and I would just kind of nip these little limbs right here as I would walk by, about even with my sidewalk. And you can't really tell it too much now, but this tree is so tall. As a matter of fact, let me show you how tall it is. Let me just grab my phone here. You saw how tall that was? Just a little bit of pruning, and this tree is so tall. It's way, 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 way up there. It's amazing how just a little bit of pruning can just change everything. I know there's a scripture about pruning. I just came across it yesterday, and it really kind of blew my mind, because when I think about pruning, I always just kind of think about getting rid of the things that are going to harm us, or that are just trying to, we got to get these things out of our life. But the scripture says in John 15:2, every branch in me that bears not fruit, he takes away. Now that's the part I already knew. If this isn't good for me, God's just going to take it away. God's going to take away these limbs that are not good for me, right? He's going to get rid of those things. So sometimes when relationships in my life have not been, maybe good for me, I could kind of feel the Lord taking those away. Or maybe if there was a job that was distracting me, or a hobby, and I started praying, Lord, I want to get closer to you and I want to do your will. Those things were removed from my life. I understood God was pruning. He was removing those things. But the second part of that verse says this, and every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes them too. Everyone gets pruned. Why? So that they will bear more fruit. You see, we all get pruned for one reason, so that we can bear more fruit. This tree right here is not doing anything wrong. As a matter of fact, it's doing everything right. But I'm going to come along and I'm going to prune it so that it can be its very best. I'm going to take away a few things and I'm going to make it a perfect shape. And it's going to be its very, very best version of itself, because I pruned it. So if you're getting pruned, God's got something great in mind for you. Hold tight and see what it is. Be wise, not afraid. Happy pruning.